The 1960s and 70s were decades of upheaval. Civil rights marches, anti-war protests, psychedelic counterculture, and a new wave of music reshaped society. But as the world questioned authority, the marketplace found a way to sell rebellion, freedom, and identity itself. In the late 1960s, a new kind of rebellion swept across America. Hippie gatherings filled parks and city streets with music, color, and protest. The Summer of Love in San Francisco drew thousands, while Woodstock became a symbol of peace and unity. Young people rejected the gray uniformity of their parents' world, embracing peace, love, and radical self-expression. Icons like Janis Joplin and Jimi Hendrix inspired a generation to find their own voice. Magazines like Rolling Stone and Life splashed these moments across their covers, turning counterculture into headline news. The world watched as youth culture became a force for change, with fashion, music, and art at its core. But as the counterculture grew, brands saw opportunity. Suddenly, tie-dye shirts, peace symbols, and long hair were everywhere, not just in communes, but in department stores and glossy ads. Psychedelic posters and band t-shirts became must-have items, mass-produced for eager fans. The paradox was clear. Anti-establishment ideals were now for sale. Companies mass-produced rebellion, turning protest into profit. Even blue jeans, once humble workwear, became a badge of youthful defiance, marketed by giants like Levi's. Brands like Converse and Volkswagen embraced the counterculture, using it to sell sneakers and Beatles to a new generation. Record stores became temples of identity, selling not just music, but posters, patches, and band t-shirts. The sounds of rock and folk were packaged and sold, their messages of change echoing from store shelves. Shopping became an act of self-definition. Even protest itself became a look, mass-produced, marketed, and sold back to the very generation that once rejected consumerism. The counterculture's symbols were everywhere, but now they came with a price tag. Department stores displayed peace sign jewelry and protest-themed fashion, blurring the line between activism and advertising. Lifestyle marketing was born. Rebellion itself became a brand, and the line between authentic self-expression and consumer choice blurred. The way we bought and who we became was changed forever. In the age of self-culture, personal identity was shaped as much by what you bought as by what you believed. The counterculture's legacy was not just in music or protest, but in the marketplace itself, where every choice became a statement of who you were. In the 1960s and 70s, advertising was swept up in a creative revolution. Inspired by pop art icons like Andy Warhol and the psychedelic posters of San Francisco, agencies filled TV screens and magazines with swirling colors, bold graphics, and surreal imagery. Famous campaigns like Volkswagen's Think Small and Alka-Seltzer's Plop Plop Fizz Fizz broke the rules, using humor and wit to connect with a new generation. Gone were the stiff, buttoned-up pitches of the 1950s. Agencies like Doyle Dane Bernbach and Ogilvy and Mather embraced the language of youth, borrowing from rock music, fashion, and the counterculture. Ads became playful, rebellious, and visually daring, mirroring the era's spirit of change. Commercials exploded with psychedelic visuals, dancing soda bottles, animated rainbows, and slogans that promised not just refreshment, but a sense of belonging. Magazine ads featured pop art graphics and playful typography, making products feel like part of the cultural revolution. Coca-Cola's "I'd Like to Buy the World a Coke" campaign became a global anthem for peace and unity, while Pepsi's The Pepsi Generation targeted youth with energetic music and vibrant visuals. These brands turned soft drinks into symbols of harmony and rebellion. Brands like Levi's, Nike, and Volkswagen used storytelling and countercultural imagery to sell not just products but lifestyles. Commercials promised freedom, coolness, and a place in the new cultural landscape. Slogans like "The Real Thing" and "You've got a lot to live, Pepsi's got a lot to give" became rallying cries, blurring the line between product and identity. Ads didn't just sell things, they sold dreams and belonging. In this groovy new world, advertising didn't just reflect the culture, it helped shape it. Brands became icons and consumers became believers, swept up in a dazzling blend of art, music, and marketing. By the early 1970s, American supermarkets offered over 9,000 different products, triple the number from just 2 decades before. Store shelves became a maze of choices, with entire aisles dedicated to breakfast cereals, sodas, and snacks. Shoppers navigated crowded aisles, their carts overflowing as abundance became the new normal. Fast food chains like McDonald's and Burger King exploded in number, with McDonald's opening its 3,000th restaurant by 1975. A simple meal became a branded experience, and the Golden Arches became a symbol of convenience and modern life. Americans were now eating out more than ever before. Clothing stores and boutiques overflowed with styles for every taste. Mod, hippie, disco, punk. Fashion became a way to declare your tribe, and stores offered endless variations to match every identity. The number of apparel brands doubled, and shopping became a form of self-expression. Music stores brimmed with vinyl records, 8-tracks and cassettes. Each format promised a different listening experience, and fans collected them all, searching for the perfect sound. The music industry's product lines grew rapidly, reflecting the era's appetite for choice. Headlines and infographics from the era boasted of booming consumer trends. By 1978, Americans spent over $900 billion annually on goods and services, a record at the time. The marketplace was flooded with options, and advertising urged shoppers to find their perfect fit. For the first time, consumers weren't just picking products, they were choosing between entire lifestyles. Brands didn't just sell things, they sold belonging, aspiration, and identity. Shopping became a way to answer the question, who do you want to be? But with so much to choose from, the freedom of abundance became overwhelming. Psychologist Barry Schwartz called it the paradox of choice. The more options we have, the harder it is to decide, and the less satisfied we feel. In the age of endless possibility, even shopping became a test of identity and a source of anxiety. In the 1970s, the idea of self-improvement became a national obsession. Beauty brands like Revlon and CoverGirl launched bold ad campaigns, promising not just glamour, but empowerment. Magazines were filled with images of models and celebrities endorsing the latest products, making personal style a statement of identity. The fitness boom exploded with the rise of jogging, aerobics, and home workout trends. Jane Fonda's workout videos and Jack LaLanne's TV show inspired millions to get moving, while brands like Nike and Adidas turned athletic gear into must-have fashion. Self-help books like I'm Okay, You're Okay, and How to Be Your Own Best Friend topped bestseller lists, offering Americans a roadmap to confidence and fulfillment. Bookstores and talk shows buzzed with advice on how to unlock your true potential. Marketers shifted from selling status to selling transformation. Commercials promised that with the right shampoo, sneakers, or paperback, you could reinvent yourself. Celebrity endorsements from Farrah Fawcett to Muhammad Ali turned products into symbols of aspiration. In this new era, who you were becoming mattered more than what you owned. Products became tools for shaping not just your appearance, but your story. The age of selling the self had truly arrived. By the mid-1970s, the American dream of endless abundance began to unravel. Inflation soared to double digits, and the 1973 oil embargo triggered long lines at gas stations across the country. Suddenly, everyday life was marked by scarcity and uncertainty. News headlines screamed about runaway prices. The cost of groceries, rent, and basic goods climbed higher each month. Families struggled to keep up, and businesses faced mounting pressure as consumer confidence plummeted. Economic protests erupted in cities nationwide. Unemployment rose sharply, and workers marched in the streets demanding relief. The government responded with wage and price controls, but frustration grew as recession set in. Headlines warned of crisis and uncertainty. For the first time, Americans questioned whether growth could truly last forever. Environmental concerns and resource limits entered the national conversation, as infographics and news reports highlighted the fragility of prosperity. Yet even as the dream faded, advertising proved resilient. Marketers shifted their message, selling hope, thrift, and survival instead of luxury. The marketplace adapted, promising that with the right choices, you could weather any storm and find security in uncertain times. The 1960s and 70s transformed consumerism from conformity into identity. Products weren't just things, they were lifestyles, political statements, and personal brands. The explosion of choice promised freedom, but also sowed the seeds of overload. By the end of the 70s, consumer culture was more fragmented, more colorful, and more demanding than ever before. The stage was set for globalization and mass market saturation in the decades to come. In the 1980s and 90s, the floodgates opened wider. Globalization, cable television, and the birth of the shopping mall brought consumerism into overdrive. Next, we'll explore globalization and the flood of products, the beginning of product overload.